Hello class, I wanted to just give you a quick review of some of the major concepts we talked about this semester. So I'm in the tutorial movies section, and I'll just scroll on down to the bottom. Some of the things I wanted you to learn, looking back from the beginning, starting with the interface and how Dreamweaver handles HTML and CSS, okay, up through building your first website with links, basic links in HTML without too much design. Okay, starting to get into style sheets, we talked about how you format some simple fonts, colors, backgrounds, things like that before actually getting into the layout of the page, so adding in the CSS. So what we're doing is pretty much just learning how to use Dreamweaver to start doing what you learned in beginning web design. Okay, CSS box model, and then examples of the box model. So we started out with columns. Again, my approach to this is you want to be able to design these sites from scratch and not rely 100% on Dreamweaver layouts and pre-built sites. That could also include sites from outside of Dreamweaver, like templates. You want to be able to design these yourself. So that's what I did focus on. So for example, something like this, yeah, you can go to Dreamweaver and choose a pre-built layout, but that doesn't mean you know exactly how to do it. So I think it's better for you to learn how to do that from scratch, and then later on, if you want to use a pre-built layout and then customize that, I've done that before, but it's always beneficial to you, I think, to build things from scratch and then build as many new sites as you can, because I think the more sites you build, the better you're going to be as a designer. I mean, that's really the main thing that's going to improve your skills in this field. So starting into looking at the layout, of course we talked about the division tags in Dreamweaver, and then the layouts that are centered and a fixed size. You can also do the AP division tags where it's fixed on the left hand side. And then if you want to get a little more advanced, you can talk about that fluid. You can use that fluid grid layout, also called like a flexible design for your sites. Okay, other examples here for you that we talked about. Let's see. Okay, a layout here, again, this is too narrow, but a layout that uses a container. So this gray one is the container, and then 3 division tags in here to get that look with different colors, different borders. Okay, all tutorials on this are always going to be up on that YouTube channel for you after the semester. So bookmark the channel if you want. I'll use it for future classes along with some new channels, but I'll keep all these tutorials up here as well. We talked about usability, and I gave you that document with the different usability steps. Talked about navigation using full screen backgrounds. Okay, pre-built CSS layouts, again, that's what I just mentioned. That if you do want to use pre-built layouts, that's something you can do as long as you understand how to customize them, because they don't look like much to begin with. Using Photoshop and Dreamweaver together, looked at that some. And let's see some other examples. Okay, here's where we get into a little more with the actual visual appearance, trying to make something that looks a little more pleasing, incorporating graphics from Photoshop that fit into your design, and then building your division tag layout with these different graphics in mind, so that you say, well, you're going to do a title and it's going to fit into this division tag, going to do an image here which fits into this, and then adding in some rounded corners, some CSS rounded corners. Okay, and then from there we also added in a CSS menu. So some of the things you notice going through the semester, a lot of what we did involved the different layout or different command options in Dreamweaver, things you can do from within the drop-down menus, and then some of it involved bringing in some different CSS code from outside of Dreamweaver. That's kind of how you're going to be designing your sites, in my opinion. You're going to be using Photoshop for your mockups, going to break that down, start to rebuild the design in Dreamweaver, and then incorporate different elements that Dreamweaver may not automatically write for you. For example, the CSS layout. So we did that one. CSS navigation. So most of the time you're going to be doing your own custom navigation, whether it's an image-based navigation or whether it's CSS like this. So you can accomplish a lot with just simple navigation. This is that table inside of that division tag at the top. Okay, and then again, I did mention HTML tables. This is about as far as I would go with HTML tables, and say just to remind you that if you're going to use an HTML table, make sure that you use it to hold your content inside of your division tag. Don't use it for the layout of your website. So this is just a simple table with 2 cells, 2 columns, 1 row, fits into this division tag at the bottom. Okay, so we talked about that one. Let's see. A little bit more with design. Again, that's just gradients. So the division tag layout is nothing special, but full screen, actually it's a tiling background with a gradient and then a gradient at the top. So that was just to give you another idea of how you can use some really simple graphics and different CSS with your division tags to create a layout. Okay, and then we talked about web content management systems, and that's something that I didn't spend too much time on, but it's something that I would, put a star by it or something. Just remember that it's important. We do get, if you're doing internships, we have noticed more people asking for WordPress websites, and that's what this tutorial talks about. So we don't currently offer a class specifically in that, but we probably eventually will. But it's also something that's pretty easy to pick up the basics on your own. And of course, you can always come see me for help on it. But web content management systems like WordPress, outside of Dreamweaver, although you can use Dreamweaver with WordPress together, but usually that's outside of Dreamweaver. AP div tags and the fluid grid layouts, getting into things that are a little bit more advanced with the fluid grid. And then talked about audio and video last week, where I did that site that has an embedded video, MP3, and then a YouTube video as well. YouTube being the best choice to display video for your site. So that's just kind of a run through of the major concepts again that I wanted you to learn this this semester in Dreamweaver. It was a beginning intro Dreamweaver class, assuming that you did not know Dreamweaver starting from the beginning. So I think we made it pretty far as what I taught you in the class. Okay, but remember that I think it's best to design your own layouts from scratch using Photoshop as your mock-up. Break down your design in Photoshop and then build it in Dreamweaver. Don't rely on a program like Photoshop to write the code for you, and I wouldn't rely 100% on the pre-built Dreamweaver sites either. So you can certainly start with them if you are comfortable with altering them, but it's probably going to be best to design from scratch. And again, my recommendation is create a site that is roughly 1,000 pixels wide that's going to fit into a 1024 monitor. You can go a little larger if you want. Center that design so that it floats and it looks good on any size monitor, even down to like an iPhone. It's going to look okay. So that's my recommendation for creating a usable, accessible website. If you get into using the fixed layouts, those are okay, but they end up looking pretty funny in larger size monitors because they're stuck on the left side of your screen. So anyway, that's it for this review, just a quick review of the major concepts that we've covered this semester.